Your game unfolds in shadows, in silence. It moves when you're not looking, and it strikes when you are unprepared. And worst of all, you don't even know what piece you are. The pawn, the queen, a spectator? No, you are the king. But you're so caught up in appearances, trying to seem confident, intelligent, charismatic, that you've forgotten the goal. The king doesn't exist to impress. He exists to protect the core. His mission is survival with meaning, movement with purpose. Yet here you are, moving through life like every step forward is progress, when in reality it's just motion, directionless, disconnected, unconscious. The truth is sobering. The king doesn't need to move often to be powerful. He needs to remember who he is. But you've forgotten. Each morning, you wake up with the burden of proving yourself. Not to fulfill a purpose, but to win approval. To look strong. To look like you've got it all figured out. But beneath that facade, you can't even master your own thoughts. You are the king, not because of dominance or speed, but because everything depends on you. Without you, your center, your core, your essence, there is no game. So, why place your value in the hands of fleeting pieces? Why stake your worth on admiration, on performance, on applause that fades the moment silence returns? That's not strategy. That's noise. True strategy is rooted in stillness. It's knowing what not to chase. It's the discipline to see through the distraction and focus on what's essential. And what is essential? Peace of mind, emotional clarity, a purpose that doesn't shift with trends or opinions. You've been conditioned to think that displaying strength makes you invulnerable. But how strong are you, really? If you don't know what you stand for, if you can't defend your inner world, the problem is not the lack of success. The problem is the lack of direction. When you don't know what you're protecting, anything can sway you. You become reactive instead of intentional. The good player doesn't begin by watching his opponent. He begins by understanding his king, his limits, his position, his purpose. Until you do that, you won't even realize when you're losing. Here's the question you should have asked yourself a long time ago. What are you truly defending? Don't say your job, your status, your image. These are illusions. What truly matters is invisible. Your mental health, your emotional stability, your sense of meaning. That's your fortress. And when that crumbles, nothing else can stand. But instead of reinforcing it, you cover it up. You chase goals that don't nourish you. You pretend that admiration equals peace, that external success means strength. The world can cheer you on, even as you silently fall apart. A strong queen on the board means nothing if the king is breaking inside. You have been playing like a rook, straight lines, fast moves. But you are not a rook. You are the king. And the king moves slowly. The king protects himself. The king doesn't win by attacking. He wins by resisting. Victory isn't in the number of moves. It's in knowing when to move and when to be still. The king who rushes blindly into battle dies. Every time you abandon yourself for validation, you walk into check without knowing it. Every time you silence your truth to maintain an image, you leave your soul exposed. Every time you act from fear, you forfeit the very peace you are desperate to find. No wonder you feel lost. You've built walls on the outside while letting the inside collapse. You know the strategies of others, but not your own values. You play the game of life without knowing the stakes. Real leadership begins inside. It's not about influencing others. It's about mastering yourself. About quieting fear long enough to choose wisely, even in chaos. And chaos don't disappear. What changes is your ability to walk through it, losing your center. The world praises achievement, but it respects those who remain whole in the process. Because success without peace is just a shout with an echo, an empty applause, a crown that weighs more than its worth. Ask yourself this right now. Do I want to win? Or do I want to live with clarity and never betray myself? One of those paths leads to freedom. And no, this isn't about becoming untouchable. It's about knowing your vulnerabilities and protecting them. It's about drawing your boundaries with wisdom, not pride. Building your armor from values and not ego. When you know what you're defending, you stop selling yourself for applause. You stop trading your soul for a title. Yes, the irony. The more you know yourself, the less you need to prove anything to anyone. The more rooted you are, the less chaos can uproot you. True power doesn't shout. It radiates. It's felt in presence, in stillness, in unshakable self-awareness. So I ask again, when was the last time that you truly sat with yourself and asked, what is it that I will protect at all costs? Until you answer that, you will keep moving on autopilot. And those who move on autopilot lose, not by attack, but by destruction. Those who win know what they'll never trade. They choose what matters over what looks impressive. They lead, not others, but themselves. And if you don't choose your world with clarity, the world will choose it for you. Not out of malice, but out of vacancy. Emptiness always fills itself with noise, with comparison, with someone else's dreams. You will end up living a life that looks good on paper, but doesn't feel like yours. And that's not victory. That's decorated defeat. You will wake up one day, look in the mirror, and not recognize who you are. And by then, the king will already be down. So I say this again. Take care of your center, not as an act of indulgence, but as strategy. Your mind is a fertile ground, my friend, and whatever you plant fear, or clarity will grow. And if you plant noise, don't be surprised when you feel lost. The real tragedy isn't losing on the board, it's losing within. You may rebuild from outside, but if your king falls inside, all that remains is decoration. And if you've made it this far, if you've listened to every word without looking away, it means something. It means that in some corner of your mind, there is a voice telling you that this is for me. It's no coincidence. This is your turning point. It's your consciousness pushing you to wake up. Because you are at that key moment where either you keep living a borrowed life or you finally decide to take control of the board. Start living with sovereign purpose. Here's what I don't tell you. When you know what you are willing to lose, you become untouchable. When you have faced your shadows and made peace, applause loses its grip. Criticism becomes background noise. You no longer move for validation. You move for clarity. And clarity is dangerous. In a world built on confusion, the one who walks with conviction is a threat. Not because they are loud, but because they are certain. Clarity cuts through manipulation. It protects you from selling your soul for temporary comfort. It allows you to say, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And this is what I will never compromise. And that is the real power. Let others move from fear, from scarcity, from needing to be seen. But not you. Not anymore. Because the moment you choose clarity over approval, you stop being a piece. You become a king. The king with clarity doesn't panic when the board shakes. He can't be alone on the board, surrounded by silence and enemies, and still play with intention. Speak when necessary, and lead from purpose and not performance. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be awake. And if you've made it here, really made it, then something inside you knows it's time. Here's your moment. Not to prove, but to decide. Write in the comments if you are ready to reclaim the board. My king doesn't give up. Not for applause, for alignment.